Okay, so you got some flowers from us, or maybe the florist or the grocery store. You come home and you're wondering in what type of vase to put your flowers in. So I'm going to give you a few tips, although you don't have to follow any of those. You just do whatever you want to do. Flowers are beautiful, so it will be gorgeous no matter what. But in case you were wondering, here are a few things to keep in mind. So the first thing is when you get home, you're going to take your flowers off or out of the packaging. And we usually tie our bouquets with twine. So I'm going to take this off. And then what you're going to see here are 3 different vases, but they're all really tall in terms of height. So the first one here, I would say this is probably the largest vase that I have in my home. Why I say it's large is because of 2 things. One is because it's tall. The other thing is the opening here is really wide. The second one here is also, fairly the same height, but the difference is the bottom and the top are fairly similar, in terms of that, like the opening. What is different though is the ring here is a certain size, but then right here it comes in a little bit, so it will have an impact on the overall look of your bouquet. So we'll see that in a minute. And then the third one here is, I would say the bottom is fairly similar to this second vase here, but the top is a little wide, but it's not as wide as the first one. So let's see, like the different looks that these 3 vases could give to this bouquet. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our bouquet and we're just gonna put it in the first vase here. And you're going to see that the flowers actually, like, they fill pretty much, the space in the vase. What I'm noticing though is because the top is really wide, that the flowers are a little bit flopping, and in a good way. It gives like an airy feel to the bouquet. So if this is what you're looking for, perfect. Now let's take a look at the second vase, which has a smaller opening. So can you see here, same vase, same bouquet, and really, like, the look is very different. The flowers are a little tighter together, they're more grouped together, and maybe that is the look that you're looking for. Maybe the space you have is kind of like narrow, so this is what you're looking for. Perfect. Then the third one is kind of like it's like an in-between, I would say. So this one here, the bottom, as I said, is narrow, but then the top is a little wide. So what you can see is that the stems still stay a little bit straight, so they don't really open wide, but there is still some air moving, like in between the flowers. So, if this is what you're looking for, great. So you can see same bouquet, but 3 different looks depending on the type of vase. And really it has to do with the height a little bit, but it's also about the opening, the width of the opening at the top of your vase. Now, maybe you don't have a vase at home. The only thing you have is a mason jar. So I want to give you a few tips on the mason jars. So the first thing is, I would always encourage you to do that. First of all, just take your bouquet and put it right in the jar just to see what it looks like. Okay, so again, maybe this is what you're looking for. You will see that because the stems are high, at one point at the top, it is going to open up a little bit. If that's what you're looking for, great. What I like to do with mason jars, especially, is to cut my stems a little shorter. So the rule of thumb is usually that your vase will be 1/3 of the overall bouquet. Okay, so for me, if I go, like this is 1, 2, 3, like I would need to cut the stems, but not too much. For me, my rule is usually for a mason jar is to go, the vase should be half the size of the bouquet, not 1/3. But that's up to you. So I'm gonna cut a little bit more than 1/3, just so that you can see what it's going to look like. So you can take your garden snips if you have some, or your kitchen scissors, whatever you have will do. Just make sure that you take the leaves off, like at the bottom. You don't want any leaves to touch the water, because that will contaminate the water. So can you see here how like shorter stems in a shorter vase will, to me, like I'm enjoying the look of like they're grouped together, but there's still kind of movement and air moving through. Even if it's a windy day, it would still feel airy at home, indoors without any wind. So that's one thing. The other thing that I like to do personally is my mason jar, I like to have a ring on it. Now, this doesn't have to be a new ring. Like this one has a little bit of rust on the outside, and that's totally fine. And I'll show you the difference. It's just a slight difference, but I like it. One is I find that it finishes the mason jar a little bit better. But then the other thing is, because the ring goes in a little bit, it closes the top of the mason jar. So what that does is kind of like similar to this vase. It gets to help the stems to be a little bit more close together, and then still have an airy feel, but not as much as the other one. So as I said, all of this is for you to take in and then try things at home. Flowers are beautiful, so you do whatever you want to do. But sometimes people have come to me and they've said, like, I don't really know if I style it, the way that it should be styled. It's okay. It's all good. Flowers are beautiful, as I said. So hopefully you found this very useful. If you like this type of video, can you share it with your friends? It really helps, for us as a small local cut flower farm, it really does help. And if you want to share it or even like it or comment on it, all of those things really help. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.